Good morning, folks. I'm Mike Savage, and I'm here with Dr. Stan Kutcher, an old friend of mine. Right now, Nova Scotians are dealing with a lot. Obviously, the COVID-19 has taken a toll on people. Social isolation is not something that people are used to. And of course, there's perilous employment in a lot of cases. Businesses are having trouble. And you add the awful events of a week and a half ago, the tragic crime that happened in Nova Scotia. And I think people are kind of on edge. And so I'm delighted that we have Dr. Stan Kutcher, who is also a member of the Senate of Canada now, and one of Canadian experts on mental health, just to ask him a couple of questions. So Stan, if I could, maybe just talk about the importance of people taking care of their mental health at a time like this.
Sure, and thanks very much, Mike, for having me here. And I hope that I know you're well. I hope all your family's well and all the kids are doing fine and not driving you out of your home at this point in time. Well, it's a difficult time for everybody. And one of the most important things that we can do is to recognize that a lot of the negative emotions that we are feeling are perfectly normal. They're not a sign that you have bad mental health. In fact, if you weren't feeling upset and down and demoralized and distraught, then you'd have a problem. I mean, these are the normal human emotional responses to these kind of substantive challenges that we face in our lives. So I think that's the first thing that I would urge people to not think just because they're feeling badly, it means that they have a problem. It means that their minds and their bodies are dealing with the challenge that they're facing. And if you think about it, like if you're running and if you're going up a hill, it feels hard to go up that hill. Your legs are sore, your breathing is difficult. You might get a stitch in your side, but that's the normal response to that kind of load. Well, the same thing, the emotions that we have, that's the normal response to the kind of load that we're feeling. So that's so important, not to think there's something wrong with you because you have those kind of normal feelings.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much for that. If people do feel, completely overwhelmed, what can they do?
Well, a couple of things. I think first of all that just like when you're going up a hill and I'll stay with this analogy because it's a good one. You can push and make it worse for yourself, or you can slow down a bit and sort of take it a little bit easier, and so that you can stay within that sweet zone of being able to be successful up that hill. And the same thing goes for our emotional health. A couple of things that are really important. First of all is that we have to focus on controlling those things that we can control. We're not going to stop the COVID from coming. We're not going to redo the past. Let's focus on those things that we can control and focus on those. The second thing is, it's so important for people to get into routines and to try to stick with those routines as much as possible. And I'm going to put a big plug in here, like for Doctors Nova Scotia, for example, have been doing fantastic work on helping people understand the importance of physical activity, of movement and exercise. And really every single person in their daily routine should have that built in. And if you're in the house with kids, well, this is a great opportunity for parents and their kids to do the exercises together. Because that builds that family dynamic, and it also is good for everybody. And think about helping other people. One of the best ways that we can feel better about ourselves is to help others, to reach out to others. So to someone in your neighborhood that you could go and do a window visit with, or somebody who needs someone to go to the store for them. That's the thing to do. Go help others.
The routine you talked about, we're all, I think, walking in our neighborhood. And I said on the radio a couple of weeks ago that I know the neighborhood so well now. I know who needs to have their front porch painted. Somebody emailed me and said, "Are you talking about me?" But it's the routine, and it's really important to get that. Yeah. Is there a way of knowing if you need more help if you really feel like it's not working for you? Is there a time of knowing when is the right time to seek other help?
Yeah, and that's a really, really important point and a good question. So I talked about some of the emotional aspects that we have during this time, but there can also be a number of physical aspects. And I just want to, because these are also normal first. So trouble concentrating, trouble falling asleep, even bad dreams, feeling more irritable and agitated, okay, flying off the handle. So those are normal responses also to this kind of very difficult period. Now, if those phenomenon get so strong, plus you're feeling despondent and in despair, all right, those are important words, and you found that those feelings now have been lasting for a week or two, well, now's the time to reach out, to call the crisis lines. And there are a lot of good crisis lines. Kids Health Phone has them. The Nova Scotia Health Authority has a mental health crisis line. But those are the line. That's the time to reach out and ask people for help. Now, if you're having persistent suicidal thoughts, and that can happen for some people, it would be a minority. But if you are one of those people that's having persistent suicidal thoughts, you need to reach out to the mental health crisis people. And that's the line that you need to call the mental health crisis line.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Kutcher. Are there certain groups that are more vulnerable than others right now? Are there folks that are more susceptible to having a challenging time?
Well, all of us are going through this challenging time, but as you point out, some people have greater challenges than others, and people who've lost a job or had a major drop in their income, or someone who has a family member who's recently died. Now, whether it's with this tragic shooting or just as part of the normal range of life and death, so hard to grieve and so hard to come together to do that necessary grieving. If there's a family member who's sick, if the person themselves has a chronic illness, whether that's a mental illness or a physical illness, and those are all things which add. And then there are the ultra higher vulnerable groups, people who are homeless, who live in abject poverty, severe food insecurity, and children, young kids, who are living in homes where there is violence, family violence. So those are the people who are at greatest risk for those. And if you fall into one of those groups, then I urge you to reach out electronically through the crisis lines that are available, because you will have greater need. So by all means, don't hesitate to reach out. Go ahead, pick up the phone.
All right, that's reassuring. Thank you. Just a last comment, Dr. Kutcher. What general advice do you give to people who are struggling right now and having a hard time with them?
Well, the thing is that all of us are struggling with these issues. These are difficult issues. It's going to be difficult for all of us, but it always is better to struggle with somebody than alone. So the fundamental piece here is to reach out to someone you trust. Could be a family member, could be a friend, could be a religious leader. If you have faith is a tremendous lifesaver during these horrific situations. Reach out to those people, and they'll help you.
That's awesome. I guess there are bright spots. So, we're seeing people do extraordinary things in difficult times, whether it's organizations like United Way raising money and organizations helping, the canteen in Dartmouth, the continuing actions of the mobile food market, the Dartmouth North Community Food Center, where we're seeing people step up. So we're going to attach a list of resources and supports for people when we post this. But Stan, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you very much for your continuing leadership during this time, and look forward to seeing you in person before too long.
I would look forward to that very much, Mike, and thank you for being at the helm. Very apropos picture of your dad and mom in the background who I knew and admired, and you're at the helm now too. So thanks for that.
Thank you very much. Think about these guys a lot. Thank you very much, Dr. Kutcher. That's awesome.
All right.